This week on Movie Mayhem Live, we're going to review and discuss the movies Mission Impossible Fallout and the movie 8th Grade. We'll take you overseas to Paris, France, where our own Greg Russell Detroit traveled to talk to the cast of Mission Impossible Fallout and will share his red carpet interviews and maybe speak a little French. And the Vegas film critic Jeff Howard will astound you with tales from his trip to San Diego Comic-Con. He was the only nerd there, by the way. And we go to the country of Canada, where our own Bonnie Laufer-Krebs will share her Simon Pegg interview and an interview from the movie 8th Grade. I think Bonnie lives there in CN Tower. I think the penthouse. But first, we start the show in a little river town, Beaver County, Pennsylvania, Monaca. It's time for Movie Mayhem Live. It's mayhem, I tell you. It's mayhem. I don't need that anymore. Hey, welcome to Movie Mayhem Live. I'm Chuck the Movie Guy, and you're probably saying, hey, what are you doing on Facebook? Well, this is our first Facebook podcast, Movie Mayhem Live, and we are begging you, please, join the show. We made it really simple for you. If you look at the top of your page, you're gonna see a button, that little button right down there. You just click on it, and you can join the show. We'll just throw you on, you can yell at us, make fun of us, do whatever you wanna do. It'll be a lot of fun. Now, first thing we're going to do is we're going to go talk to our box office Bonnie. Bonnie, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing tonight?
I'm really excited, Bonnie. I think it's going to be a good show. We really got a lot going on. We got a lot of interviews.
Yeah, we do.
And I have to take you now. We're going to travel from the little river town to... I got to hook up my... something's wrong with my phone line. I'm going to have to connect to Jeff Howard.
Here we go. I think you found him.
There he is. He's at the MGM Grand. A lot of people don't know that, but Jeff, hello, Jeff, are you there? It's Jeff.
Chuck?
How you doing,
yes,
buddy?
Chuck.
Hey.
I'm just hanging out at the MGM. What are you doing?
I know you have a room there. You keep one there all the time, so.
Oh, you know how far the MGM is from where I'm at? It's a good, 15 miles.
It's all
thank you.
A perception. If I say you're at the MGM, you're at the MGM.
I'm at the MGM having a great time here. I'm having a good time. I'm going to Hakkasan nightclub after this. So.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. It sounds good. I'm going to turn off the now, Jeff, you weren't on the show last week because you were at Comic-Con.
I was, and I haven't been to Comic-Con. Look at this. It's like a catalog that they give you. I haven't been to Comic-Con in probably about 16, 17 years, and I went as a fan. And I never had a chance to go as a journalist because it's almost impossible to get credentials. Well, I went with my buddy Derek Sante, who's a critic here in Las Vegas. He's also a reporter for iHeartMedia. And iHeartMedia. And he called me and said, look, I'm taking 3 crews this year, and would you like to come along and do interviews? So we stayed basically at the Hilton across the street from the convention center, and I must have done 3 days of 50 interviews, everything from television shows to movies, from Bobcat Goldthwait to American Dad to Family Guy. I mean, I can't tell you all the interviews I did, but here's the crazy part. I stayed in Tijuana because I couldn't afford to stay in San Diego.
Okay.
It was like $500 a night,
Unreal.
so it was a crazy adventure crossing the border daily. And it was, I'll never do it again, but I mean, 4 days of going back and forth. But it was really cool.
I have been to Tijuana so many times. We used to go there. I can't even tell you how many times I've been to Tijuana. It's a short little train ride. You take that straight down there from San Diego. It's so great.
Oh, yeah, that trolley, yeah. Trolley. But that was still an hour to go from the border to the convention center. So I had a 4-hour trek.
I got some photographs from you at Comic-Con I wanted to go over, and now that some of them make sense. This, of course, is you I'm assuming it's you in front of the Comic-Con logo there, okay?
I was picking up my badge there, yeah. That's when I was picking
now,
up my
here
badge.
you are on, a lot of people don't know about the trade floor. The floor is just insane. I mean, you can't even move. There's just thousands.
You can't.
Yeah. Thousands.
This year it was. I thought, first thing I thought of, this was a fire hazard. It really was, because you couldn't just walk normally. You had to just like passing people, and I felt bad for all the kids in the wheelchairs, because they were stuck. I know. I passed a bunch of them, and you couldn't see any of the events. I went by the Marvel booth and the DC booth, and it was just so crowded. And there were signings everywhere. I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson for Cosmos, but you couldn't stop. They just kept, because they kept whisking you along. So it was really poorly planned, or they just wanted to make the most money ever. But if I would go back Yeah, I would just do the interviews. I wouldn't go back to the convention floor. But that was a disappointment. But overall, seeing all the kids and families there, they were having a ball.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
I mean,
that was the big part.
and one of the hazards is there are so many people with costumes, and they're so big, and like you see so many things, and people are stopping to take pictures and so forth. I want to go over some more of these photographs. Here, I don't understand this one at all. What's going on here, Jeff?
That was in Tijuana. Yeah, that was at a Walmart across the street, and a frosted flakes were
Mexican,
called
yeah, I love it.
Zucaristis. I love it. I was like, I got a picture of that.
Yeah. All right.
Zucaritas.
And now, what is going on here, Jeff? What's going on here?
That's the Trauma booth. I was a big fan in high school when Trauma started, Toxic Avenger, Class of Nukem High, and the gentleman who started Trauma was there, and also the original mask for the Toxic Avenger was there. So that's just
Oh, I thought
That's
maybe
just a
you had,
sample.
I thought maybe you made a friend here or something. I wasn't sure
no,
what
I
was going
didn't.
on there.
No, but that was so cool about Comic-Con is every kind of pop culture is there, from movies to comic books to television to movies, collectibles of all kinds. I couldn't believe some of the stuff at the DC booth. They had collectible figures like were going for $1,000 in costumes, and it was really a great place, but not just comic books, but just pop culture in general.
Now, when you sent over these photographs, I was so insanely jealous. I am a huge fan of Star Trek Discovery. And you, obviously, now this is what a panel is for people that have never been to Comic-Con. So this room is just jam-packed with people. And they have the entire cast of a show, and they'll be sitting there, and they talk, and they show you sometimes the first episode of the new season or maybe highlights of something. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And then I started seeing. Go ahead. What's that,
What I'm
Jeff?
saying, what's unique about that panel, Chuck, was I wasn't allowed or I wasn't able to go to any kind of panels because we were going from room to room
Right.
doing interviews, doing red carpets, but that was only for the press. They were going off to do a regular panel,
Oh, wow.
but they did a panel for the press. Yeah, so I was
Nice.
all excited about that. And I had binge watched the show the week before,
Oh,
and it is
It's
phenomenal.
the best season
Yes.
of any. I mean, it's one of the best shows of any season of anything I've seen on TV. Now,
Yes.
but then I saw these photographs, and I was like, oh my God, Jeff
Nice.
interviewed
Nice.
the cast of.
Yes.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. And then, of course, this guy, Doug.
Bob
Is that Doug?
Jones.
Is his name? Yeah, he is the nicest human being on the
I
planet.
said to him when I was done, Doug, I love you. I honestly just feel this love
He's the
from you.
greatest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what? I did so many interviews, but Derek Sante has all of them. I haven't had a chance to get them and post them yet. So
Mhm.
those were taken by my cameraman for the day. He surprised me with those.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just have to give a shout out to my buddy Ken, and he showed me those afterward. I almost cried. I go, thank you so much for that.
And
so I
he-
wouldn't have had any of those photos.
And a good buddy
You know
of
that
mine.
show is it's
Yeah.
all shot here in Toronto. The
Oh.
whole cast
Ah.
is always here shooting that.
Uh,
I try so hard to get on the set. It's impossible. But they're
Yeah, I
here
bet.
for like 6 months out of the year, and they love it here.
Yeah, so, and Jeff had texted me, and I go, said something. I go, hey, have you heard that new show? But my friend Sarah Bolger's on that show, and he, at that exact moment, he was interviewing,
nice.
talking to the cast of Mayans.
Mayas.
Yeah, Mayans.
Wow.
Mayans.
Mayas on FX. It's a spin-off of Sons of Anarchy, and
Wow.
everybody was there. It was like 15 members of the cast were there. They were the coolest. I didn't get to interview them. Derek did, but I did take pictures for him, and I saw Edward James Olmos, who I'm a big Blade Runner and a big
Yeah.
fan of his, and he stopped by. He was really cool. But Sarah Bolger walked right by. I looked at the cheat sheet, they give you on
Yeah.
a red carpet, and she was there, and she came right by. So I didn't have a chance to talk to her because
Oh.
they just whisked them away.
I'm
to
like,
another
tell her I
panel.
said hi, and so forth. And then, of course, I have pictures
Oh,
from
yeah.
Jeff traveling to Mexico. And Jeff,
Yep.
I don't know, you accidentally sent me some other photos from Tijuana, but don't worry,
Yeah, we
those
won't
won't see
show
the
them.
light of day every day. And then I don't
My
understand.
Walmart.
I don't understand this photograph. What is the big deal with the Walmart?
It's because going into Tijuana, obviously I don't know the area, and right across the street from the beach casita I was staying at was a Walmart, so I could go over and get Gatorades, roast chicken, cereal, whatever I needed that was something familiar. So that I was just really impressed there was a Walmart there. But a Tijuana Walmart is not an American or even probably a Canadian Walmart by
Yeah,
any
yeah.
means.
I'm
Very
sure.
limited supply, and I was really surprised. I shouldn't say surprised, but I was happy to find that all the locals were so nice. They were just the nicest people. They helped me anytime they could. I didn't have any problems at all. After the first day, I started to feel real safe. It was just the chore of the 4-hour trek from taxi to border to trolley. I was exhausted after 4 days, but overall, it was a good experience.
Yeah, well, I'm so jealous. I used to go to Comic-Con all the time. I feel at home there. You're right, though. You're just doing thousands and thousands of interviews, but then you're stocked up for the rest of the year, so that's great. But
a lot of the stuff doesn't come out to the fall. Yeah, so there's a lot of material for the next 6 months. It's great.
Good.
Now we're going to shift over to movies. One of the movies coming out this week is 8th Grade. And let's take a quick, short little look at the movie.
So, the topic of today's video is being yourself. Being yourself can be hard, and it's like, aren't I always being myself? And yeah, for sure. But being yourself is like not changing yourself to impress someone else. A lot of people like call me quiet or shy or whatever, but I'm not quiet.
Yeah, that girl's a liar because everything she says in that trailer is a lie because this girl is shy and this girl is everything. Jeff, why don't you give us a short little rundown of what this movie's actually about?
Well, it's about a girl in her last 2 weeks of being in the 8th grade, about to make that big step to high school, and just continuing her puberty, her journey on becoming a woman. And the last 2 weeks, she makes these YouTube videos. So she is saying, she's actually talking to YouTube and to her computer, giving herself more pep talks than trying to get an audience. That's what it comes across as. And she's trying to tell herself to be more confident, for her to take chances, to do all these things. And the last 2 weeks of 8th grade, where she's a total wallflower, she's starting to take all those chances. And not only that, I love coming of age films. I love that genre because I miss being a kid. I miss everything about being a kid. And so this movie, every time they come out with a coming of age movie, they get more and more honest. They get more and more real. And this is probably one of the most real coming of age movies I've seen ever on the big screen. And Elsie, she plays Kayla. She just sells this film.
Yeah, now Bonnie, if I'm not mistaken, so the director of this movie, who I had no idea, everybody's like, oh, he's so-and-so, and I'm like, I never heard of him.
He's the best.
Yeah. You're talking about the girl there. You had a chance to sit down and talk with this guy.
Bo Burnham, he basically started on YouTube. That's what's so ironic about this whole film, is because he got his start. He was about 15 or 16 and started doing comedy bits on YouTube and musical comedy and all this. And it got picked, he got noticed. From there, he did some stand-up comedy. From there, of course, he did some Netflix specials, and the rest is history. The guy is so popular. He's hilarious. He's wonderful. He's such a nice, humble, down-to-earth guy. And this is his first film that he's written and directed. I agree with you, Jeff. It couldn't be more honest. It couldn't be more real. And it's not just for 13, 14-year-old kids to see that can relate. I think parents really need to go see this movie to see what is really going on with your children right now, and how dependent they are on their phones and on that social media, and how it really affects their lives. It's quite eye-opening. And listen, my boys are older now and kind of miss that. Yes, they are into social media now and stuff, but not to that extent, like a 13-year-old would be. Every little quip, every little thing that's said on Twitter, you're ugly, you're this, you're that. It's so sad how this makes their lives,
Yeah.
And it really is an eye-opening experience.
Well, let's take a look at a short segment with Bonnie's interview with the director, Bo. It's available at smartentertainmentgroup.com.
Let's talk about Elsie, your young lead who plays Kayla. She's amazing. What a find. Was it hard to find her, and how did you know that she was going to be able to carry a film like this?
It was, she was the second, third person in. I called her in because I saw a video of her, but I saw every young actor in the world, and she was the only one that every other young actor was pretending to be shy, and she was the only one that was pretending to be confident in the way she played it. She played it as someone active, she played Kayla as someone who wanted to be someone else, and everyone else was just trying to play Kayla. But I tested her 7 or 8 times. I never saw a kid more than once. I never saw another kid twice. But I needed to, because the movie is so her.
Yes.
And, it starts with a 3-minute monologue, and then she doesn't speak for another 10 minutes. And the movie's, it's all on her. So we would do tests where it was just the monologues. We'd do tests where it was like a silent test. We'd do a test where it was scene work. So yeah, I kind of put her through the ringer. And even I just tested her over and over again just to make sure she could deliver over and over again, because
Absolutely.
she was going to have to show up for 27 days and carry a film on her shoulders. And she just did. And she just really, really did.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, she was great.
Good interview. Yeah, she is. She's
Thank you.
tremendous in this movie. Now, I kind of got the feel that the way you both were talking about the movie, you kind of reviewed it already yourselves. I have to tell you, where there is hands down, there is. I mean, this is a really, really good movie. It was so uncomfortable to watch. It was like reliving my 8th grade, and it made me uncomfortable. And I have to tell you, as much as I could separate myself and walk out of the crazy. This was a tough movie for me to watch, because it was just, I hate those type of movies that just you feel so bad for the character and what is happening on screen. But yet a movie like that, if it can bring any kind of emotion, any movie that can bring any kind of emotion out of you, is definitely doing a tremendous job. First-rate movie, but so hard to watch. What do you guys think?
Well, I also want to add to the fact that I'm really, really happy that Bo included in the film the relationship she has with her father. I don't want to give away too much, but we do find out he's a single dad. Whether the mother died or left, we don't know that right away. Doesn't really matter. He's in charge of her. And it's interesting to watch how their relationship evolves through the film. Because of course, like any teenager, you're sitting at the dinner table, you're completely ignoring any human being around you, and all you're wanting to do is text, and this is what they do. And how the relationship evolves with her father is one pivotal scene where I'm telling you, I just completely broke down. So well done, and it's so important because it really does show to kids out there, yes, you think your parents are a pain in the ass, okay, whatever, but honestly, we're there for you, and if you need us, we're there for you. And I loved that he gave us that message.
Jeff?
And I'm really happy that he addresses some hard-hitting subjects in the movie that 8th graders are going through. Things that like sexting or what boys want. I mean, he really shows, what they're going through. He didn't sugarcoat it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing I kept thinking over and over in this film is, I could not be a child in this day and age. I could not imagine, being Generation X and growing up without technology, without the internet. I would be a nervous wreck. I'm a single guy, so I don't have any kids. But I just could not. I don't know how kids survive through all this. I really don't, because the dangers are everywhere. I mean, that's what I kept thinking was, there's not only the pressure of life and pressure of family and all that, but also what technology is doing to these kids. When she's at the dinner table with her father and he's trying to have a conversation and she is literally losing it, she just wants to escape into her social media. So I think every parent will identify with this movie, and I think kids will be like, oh my gosh, that happened to me this morning.
Jeff, give me a letter grade.
One of my favorite films of the year. I'm giving it an A, and in my top 10, definitely.
Oh, wow. Nice job. Bonnie?
Yeah, I agree. A, all the way.
Oh, really? You know something? We're going to leave that on there for me as well, an A. Yeah. But I got to tell you, once again, I was just a wreck after this movie was over.
I was too. Especially since a guy wrote all this for a girl. That was really unique, too.
Yeah,
so I thought
wish I had time.
Maybe, I wish there was a woman that maybe could contribute to the screenplay too. So just to give it something, and he's saying, you know what, Bo, you got that right, but I think an 8th grade girl would say this or do this more. So I would love to wish you could have asked him that, because I love to know, what other kind of input he got from that. But he did a fantastic job for the first film. Big hit at Sundance too. I couldn't get in to see it, but that was a big buzz at Sundance too.
Yeah, I agree. Make sure you go out and check out that film. You noticed I changed the background a little bit because it's getting ready for Mission Impossible Fallout. Now the thing is we're missing somebody. We usually have more critics than this, but we're doing the rotating critics. But we're missing Greg Russell from Detroit. Do you have any idea where he's at?
Right now, where he's at?
Well, yeah. I mean, wait a minute. Hold on. I have something from my inbox. It's from. Hold on. It says Chuck Play.
Hey, Greg Russell here on special assignment for the Impossible Mission Force. That's why I can't be with you today for the podcast. I've got an assignment where I've got to team up with Tom Cruise and especially Rebecca Ferguson to go after a brand new enemy. His name, Brickman. This is his land. That's why I'm here. And this is my one clue. I'll let you know how it all turns out next week when I return. Now, this message is going to self-destruct in 5 seconds.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome. Welcome.
Merci
I
beaucoup.
set it all up for you.
Merci beaucoup.
And it's bigger and crazier and more exciting and kind of, I mean, it's my favorite one.
It's incredible. I mean, this is truly a dream.
So to finish here and to be showing the world the movie in front of the Eiffel Tower is a real treat. I'm very, very excited. My parents are here as well, and they get to see it for the first time.
It is bloody exciting, and it's nerve-wracking, and I want everyone to love it, and I want them to come out and go, yes, fuck yes.
Oh, they will. They will. There's so much action in this. I know that people are just going to see things they aren't going to believe.
And that's what we want. That's what we want. How do we do that? How do we push it to a place where people just aren't going to believe what happened, but what we really did?
Boy, that Rebecca's a potty mouth, I tell you.
Oh, I tell ya. Wow, she was canoodling there with our Greg.
As much as I'm jealous for Greg, that was awesome that he went up there. Now, Jeff, why don't you give us the rundown? What is it? Can you possibly describe the plot of this movie?
Absolutely, because the plot's like one sentence, and that's not what's important about this movie. Ethan Hunt accepts a mission where he has to recover stolen plutonium, because somebody wants to make a nuclear bomb, but he has to choose at the moment between one of his team members' lives and saving the plutonium. So, of course, he saves one of his team members, and the plutonium goes out on the open market. So now he's got to put the team together and go after the plutonium before somebody, blows up the world. I mean, it's that simple, and that's all you need to know about the story, because that really doesn't matter. That's just a catalyst of some of the most incredible action you'll ever see in a motion picture, where most movies have a climax, at the end of the movie with this incredible stunt. There's like 4 or 5 climaxes in this movie, and the true story behind the making of the film is just as fascinating as the movie up there on the big screen.
Yeah. that was more than one sentence there, Jeff,
Sorry.
by the way. Sorry about that. Now,
I'm so excited about this movie.
Now, apparently, after Simon talked to Greg on the red carpet in Paris, he flew to Toronto and he sat down with you, Bonnie. Is that true?
He did. He did. That guy gets around, I have to tell you. He's everywhere. But I love Simon Pegg, one of my favorite people to interview, one of my favorite guys on the big screen and small screen. I mean, he's been in so many things. I still say that Shaun of the Dead is one of my top 10 all-time favorite films. Love Shaun of the Dead. He is just so wonderful. So we got a chance to talk about Mission Impossible. And if you could make Simon Pegg laugh, I think I did that. I'm happy.
Let's roll it.
Okay.
Oh, so great to see you back in Mission Impossible. The 6th one.
I know.
Now, when you started doing this, you've done 4 of them now.
I know,
Did you ever think that this was going to continue?
Not for a second. I didn't know if the films would continue. I mean, I kind of assumed perhaps, but I certainly didn't think I would continue. I thought I was a cameo. J.J. Abrams had called and, I think he'd seen Shaun of the Dead and thought, oh, it'll be funny if we get this guy to be in a couple of scenes. I had no idea that Benji would sort of evolve into an agent and get out in the field and be so up to his neck in adventure as he has been.
Well, Benji is a fan favorite, I have to say. I'm a fan of Benji, but definitely. But what is it about him that you continue to love about this guy?
I think because in this world of spies and agents and masks and gadgets, he's the most relatable character because he's kind of like an audience member. He's the guy that's always saying, why are we doing this? Are you insane? Let's not. The kind of things you'd be saying in this situation. So he's in a world of these sort of super spies, he's kind of one of us in a way, and I think that's what the audience key into.
Yeah, now let's just talk about the insanity of this film because it is non-stop. And
it really
Tom Cruise, I mean, let's just face it. When this guy goes for it, he overgoes for it. Do you ever sit there and watch him doing these stunts and go, dude, look, how are you doing this?
Every day. For real. I honestly, I've many times said, are you sure you want to do this? Or just marveled at his commitment to his craft. And he really does. He does it not because he's mad. It's easy to sort of dismiss it as like, oh, it's insane. But he is so kind of committed to his duty to entertain the audience. And he knows as well how much it means to the audience if they feel that it's really happening.
Yeah.
If you're watching something which has been simulated, it's exciting to see it, but you don't have any emotional investment in the moment because you know it's not real. Whereas if you know it's authentic, if you know he's actually in that kind of danger, there's a whole other level of interaction that you get with the film, and that's what he knows, you know.
Yeah, now, you obviously you get some action going. I'm telling you, the last third of the film, I felt physically nauseous, in a good way. But it was so intense.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep when I first saw it, and I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, well, honestly, I was like, ugh.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, when do you have to bring barf bags to movies? But honestly, thank God I didn't have to. It was so intense. But, I go back.
Yeah.
You have been punched out before. So what lessons have you learned about, you know, getting through your stunts?
Well, you know, fight scenes are always really, really intensive, and you have to learn the choreography, but you also have to know the person you're fighting with. The time I got punched on Rogue Nation because of a timing issue. It was McHugh gave me a note to kind of pause so he could see my face, but he didn't tell the stuntman. So I paused and the stuntman just went off like that. So yeah, we learned on that to give everybody the note, not just me.
Yeah.
But it was, it's hard work, and you do get bruised, and you do get a few near misses, you know, particularly when someone's like swinging at your face like this close.
Yeah, I can just imagine. Yeah. Well, we don't want to ruin that beautiful face. Come on, honestly. How many times does Tom Cruise say to you, "I'll figure it out"?
Oh, we all say it. We're working on it. I'll figure it out. The whole point, you know, there was a parallel story with this film, which was the writing of the screenplay, which Chris McQuarrie is a genius writer, and he thrives under pressure, and he can almost elevate his sort of technique just by leaving it all to the last minute. I always say it's like in I think it's The Wrong Trousers, the Wallace and Gromit cartoon, when Gromit's laying the track in front of the train. That's how Chris kind of writes.
Yeah.
And so for all of us, the whole time while making this movie, it was like, we're figuring it out, we're working on it. And that plays into the movie, which is like Ethan just improvising the whole time.
Yeah,
you know?
nonstop. Not that we don't love seeing you in this, but when are we going to see a reunion with Edgar and Nick?
Soon. I never know how to answer that because I can't give you a definite answer, but I can say it will definitely happen. Okay. It's just a question of when, really.
Good. All right. Well, we'll look forward. Well, people go see this. It's just so fantastic, and you are amazing in this, as always. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
Wow, Bonnie, you're just knocking them out of the park today. Wow, Simon, that was
Wallace and Gromit. A Wallace and Gromit reference.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
Once again,
I love them.
Bonnie, got to give you a little plug there, smartentertainmentgroup.com. You can check out more of your interviews. And before we continue on and actually start reviewing this film, I want to give you a preview of next week's show. As you know, the goal is to have as many critics as possible, especially in the BFCA, if we can get them in here. We have a special critic joining us next week. And let me get my announcer voice here. And next week on Movie Mayhem Live, we have a new film critic joining us, Gino Salamone. And you're probably saying to yourself, who is Gino? Well, let me tell you. Gino studied at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. He's Sandra Bullock's favorite critic. He's a Scorpio, loves to collect albino pictures of chipmunks, and he interviewed Tom Cruise on the red carpet in Washington, D.C.
Good to see you. How you been? Good. Have you ever said no to anything in a script, stunt-wise?
Not yet. Not yet. They've said no to me, and we had to put it through a lot of times. You know, I remember even on Ghost Protocol when I was going over in the building, you know, they were trying to get me that I say that I had to wear a parachute. I said, listen, at this altitude, I'm not going to be able to have time to deploy the parachute. So, you know, we're going to do it. You know, so a lot of times McHugh and I find people are saying no, and then we figure out how to do it.
Do you ever go into the script and say, okay, I think we should add this, or you have suggestions?
Well, I have to say that, yeah, I mean, I'm producing the movie and I'm working on it with McHugh, and a lot of times we're starting missions, we don't have script. We have an idea. And we have ideas and characters, and we have scenes, and we're working on sequences, but the script is really, the way that we make these movies, the script is being written as we go along, and that's how we make those. You look for the geography, so we're going back and forth on these items.
Are you superhuman? Who comes back from an injury that quickly and is running in 10 weeks?
Necessity level. I had to. We had a release date, otherwise we wouldn't be here right now.
I end with this. I brought you a gift. I bought a prop from one of your movies, but I washed it and it shrunk. These are the underwear from Risky Business. So there you go.
Thank you.
You can catch Gino's interviews on YouTube at Watch Gino TV. And Gino, I love you. I love you so much. Please, the albino chipmunk thing was a joke. Please come on the show. Okay, so, wow. Tom Cruise, twice on the show. I got to tell you.
You just get the best.
Yeah,
Only the best here.
Gino is the greatest. Now, Jeff pretty much gave us the rundown of the movie. I'm going to tell you basically what Jeff said. Honestly, the best action movie I've ever seen. Yeah.
And you know, Tom Cruise was right when he said we don't have a script, because in the movie you really don't feel a story. It's just one giant chase. And it works that way. But here's a man who just saw the film 3 weeks ago. It was just completed July 8th. It wasn't even ready until just a few weeks ago and shown to Tom Cruise and the cast. But in this film, he does some of the most ridiculous stunts I've ever seen in my life. He does that. I think the one that impressed me the most was the Halo, where he's doing that high altitude, low opening, where he's literally taking a year to train and jumping out 25,000 feet. The cameraman is there, so that is him flying through the air, trying to catch up and make his mark and stay in focus in 25,000 feet in the air. I mean, it's just insane. And then I always think about car chases in movies. Some of the best ever is like To Live and Die in L.A., French Connection. But I love Ronin, John Frankenheimer. And I got a real Frankenheimer feel for this because they're chasing through Paris. They're chasing through all these different streets of London. And there's no dialogue, you know? So you just these long chase sequences. And there's Tom Cruise, running. There he is on the motorcycle. There he is, in the car. And you're just like, this is insane. It's adrenaline.
It wouldn't be a Mission Impossible movie if Tom Cruise wasn't sprinting full out all the time, Bonnie, thoughts?
I just don't know how he's going to keep topping himself if we keep seeing these movies, because there's a helicopter scene in this movie that is beyond, and apparently he trained for a year and a half. He flies the helicopter, people. What is okay? Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, Tom Cruise and I are the exact same age. I can barely make it down my front steps some days. Okay, honestly, it just blows my mind, the commitment, the passion, the drive that man has. And plus, when he promotes his movies, I mean, he doesn't miss a beat. He will stand on that carpet and talk to every person who's going to be doing interviews. And then he will take pictures and talk to all the fans on the other side. 4 or 5 hours. He is there. He's doing all the late night shows. He's always got a smile on his face. I've interviewed him many, many times. And whenever I walk in the room, he gets up out of his chair and he shakes your hand. And I mean, he really, whatever he says about me after I leave the room, I really don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
He is totally the best interview, nicest celebrity, hands down. There you go.
And the greatest fight in a bathroom up to this time was True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now it is Mission Impossible Fallout. To watch Henry Cavill, and him beat up that guy in the bathroom was unreal. And not only that, Alec Baldwin tells stories about where he has to do a fight scene with Henry Cavill. He says he's like a statue. He's really Superman in real life.
I tell you,
Henry Cavill, exactly, because Henry Cavill in this role is also really amazing. And yes, he's fantastic as Superman. I have liked him as Superman, no question. But in this, to see him opposite Tom Cruise in this role, good on you, Henry, for taking this. Smart move, because this will move him now in another direction.
And
he's a menace in this movie.
And they talk about being on the edge of your seat. I mean, honestly, this movie did not slow down until the last, I think, 4 or 5 minutes of the movie. I was just so impressed with how fast everything was moving. The way they had the humor in there. The way, I mean, and you're right. I mean, he didn't have to in this day and age with the special effects, and he didn't have to do all the stuff. But because he did, you can tell. Now, when everybody was talking about the big, Jeff, your favorite scene with skydiving, I kept thinking of Moonraker. How they, I don't know if you remember when.
Exactly. I did too.
I was thinking of that. They don't do that stuff like that anymore. That was the last time I actually saw people jumping out of a plane. But even like my wife had no interest in seeing this movie, and so I went alone. And after it was over, I was like, boy, did she miss out on not only one of the best movies of the year, but the best action movie I think I've ever seen.
And this took every bit of my constitution, because I made the mistake of drinking before the movie, thinking there'd be a time that I could get up and go to the bathroom. You can't. You literally can't leave the theater, because something starts as soon as that happens.
And they do a great job of bringing in all the characters, especially like Michelle Monaghan. I was like, how are they going to do that? How are they going to do that? And they kept doing it in flashbacks, not to do a big spoiler alert or anything like that. But I mean, come on, everybody knows she's in the movie. But just the way it all works out was just like the most satisfying movie I've seen in a long time. And I can probably do a public service here. Once the credit starts rolling, you can go. There's no end credit scenes, there's nothing to stick around for, so you can just go make a beeline for the bathroom because it's 2 hours and something. But I was shocked when
27 minutes.
Yeah, I was like
27.
I thought maybe there was something wrong with my watch. I'm like, it seemed to me like it was an hour and a half. It moves along at an incredible pace. Do we all? I tell you what, for me, it's a huge A+. Like I said, fantastic. I want to see it again. I want to own it. I want it to be on a loop. Even if I own it, I'm going to watch it on Netflix. This was a great movie. Bonnie?
I'm going to give it an A. I'm not going to give it an A+. I did love it, though, and it's definitely deserving of an A. And yes, the
Loser.
The best.
You can't even give it a +1, just a little bit higher. Jeff?
A half a plus.
I don't do plus or minuses because that's all a GPA thing, But the thing is, I give it an A solely because of the incredible stunts. I've never seen this before in a movie. And, Tom Cruise has to be applauded. I just kept thinking throughout the whole movie, I'm a Paramount executive. I'm like, man, if he gets hurt, if he gets killed, no one's going to let him spend money like this. The studio Tom Cruise is the last of a dying breed of a giant movie star.
Yeah, in fact, he broke his leg, didn't he? Jumping from the roof to roof. Yeah, his ankle. And then 10 weeks later, he's back. Yeah, it's in the movie.
In the movie, when he gets up to walk away.
Yeah, just do yourself a favor. I mean, I feel like this is summer's already here and gone. This is the big summer movie. This is the one that's going to stick around. It's going to be, I think, the biggest box office because of word of mouth. I think it's going to stick around for a while. This is just I love being a critic, so I can tell people about movies like this.
Yeah,
and I never promote IMAX, but this movie demands you see it in IMAX. It's a totally different experience. If you want to spend the money, you won't be disappointed in the IMAX format either.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's our show for this week. Please join us next week. We're going to have some interviews. Maybe we can see if we can get a little bit of more gossip, or maybe get one or two of Jeff's Comic-Con interviews and run those. I'm sure Bonnie will have some interviews somewhere.
I actually have for next week Jim Cummings. He's the voice of Winnie the Pooh and
there
Tigger.
You go.
He was awesome to speak with.
Yeah.
And then I even have a little surprise interview that I'm not going to tell you about right now. So
excellent. Look forward to that. So
I can't tell you the people coming up to me about Winnie the Pooh. I mean, that movie's hitting everybody's buttons. I don't get it. I saw the one from earlier this year about the real story, but there's just something about this movie that people are talking about. So I don't get it, but I can't wait to see. I see it next week, along with Spike Lee's film, The Black Klansman, too.
So
I saw it.
Hush!
I see it Tuesday. I see it Tuesday.
Stop! Shut up! Stop! Don't say anything. Don't say anything. By the way, please, if you like what you saw, like this page, forward this page on Facebook. Tell your friends. We're going to be here every week, good or bad. Love us, hate us. We're not going anywhere. So please, thank you for joining us for the very first podcast of Movie Mayhem Live.